Well, it's getting close to time for Palantir's earnings, and with the market just in chaos right now, and a recession possibly looming, but maybe not looming, and kind of conflicting data everywhere, Palantir's earnings are critical to see where Alex and the team see the stock going and where the company's going over the next year, as we're going to get that guidance on this earnings call. We must get down to the bottom of what is going to happen on these earnings and what the stock will actually do if Alex bangs the table again or something else like that. Actually, I kind of hope that he does do something like that, so the irrational freak out to sell a stock based on something I've never heard of anybody selling a stock for can basically ensue and become the driving narrative right here on YouTube. So let's talk about exactly what I see happening and my exact plan through it all. And I just ask in exchange for you to gently tap that like button and consider subscribing too. It's super easy to do if you like the truth without the hype. Alright, so this earnings season has once again been nothing short of extraordinary. I mean, you have mega caps still moving wildly like they're small caps, but the market is finally starting to reward anyone with good earnings or, kind of okay earnings with really good guidance. Now, yes, don't get me wrong, Mrs. and Mrs. Mix with lower guidance is still being punished with 10%, sometimes even 20% downward moves. That part is not unusual and kind of in line with the past couple of earnings seasons. But once again, the earnings apocalypse if I could talk. Anyways, the earnings apocalypse that everyone predicted was coming this quarter because it didn't come last quarter or the quarter before has once again not arrived again because, well, I'm sure they will have another excuse as to why it hasn't arrived, just the same as the other previous couple earnings quarters. Earnings season honestly usually doesn't make much sense, and that has held true to form once again. It's why I just buy according to my plan and avoid all the craziness around earnings, because a stock honestly is never more manipulated than they are around earnings. Which we have been discussing a ton of earnings for a ton of stocks of a lot of different companies daily in my group. You get access for under $1 a day using the Valentine's sale that ends on Valentine's Day to join my group. Heck, I went to Chipotle and the Chipotle burrito pays for an entire month of my membership. So if you want in on that discussion and analysis and you want to take 5 courses for free, watch hundreds of videos and tutorials and lessons, and have direct access to me anytime, be on our live Q&As, and have access to a ton of 6- and 7-figure investors and over 1,000 members, make sure you take advantage of the Valentine's Day sale using the link in the pinned comment before that expires. All right, back on track here. Palantir stock is just different from most other stocks in the stock market. And there's kind of this constant battle with this stock in general. I mean, is it a future $1 trillion company? Or is it just trash and another stock destined to be bankrupt in a few years? Seriously. People see it as another stock that Wall Street's going to be late to, or it's complete overhyped garbage doomed to fail. And honestly, look no further than the comments below on this video, and you will see the battle raging pretty much along those exact lines there. It's completely like Tesla was a few years ago. Now, probably not as extreme on the bull and the bear side, but Palantir clearly falls into the I get it and it's going to be big one day, or I don't get it at all and it's just overpriced hype like many stocks that were popular in the past couple of years on YouTube were. And if you want further proof, look no further than the last couple of earnings calls where even the Palantir bulls were questioning their decisions on this stock or straight up selling the stock because there was such a mixed feeling about what all went on. Heck, on last earnings call, even though Alex and the team had a good call and were much more polished and well behaved, many who love Palantir were still mixed about the earnings. Now, I personally wasn't. Palantir is far from the worst earnings calls I've ever heard. They're not even close to the worst ones I've ever heard. And I'm not trying to pick out one line here or a phrase there, or Alex being Alex and then kind of extrapolating it out to the stock is just doomed and nobody will use them because of, I don't know, some weird quirk that Alex had and he did over there. I don't know. That just seems to be what happens right now. It doesn't mean I'm right and they're wrong or vice versa or anything else like that. It just means I didn't see it the same way, and Palantir seems to create that divide among investors is all I'm trying to illustrate there. Unfortunately, I think Palantir's earnings this time around will give both sides more talking points that will bolster their position, which means it will essentially remain extremely divided for now. But there is one key that I am looking forward to hearing commentary that I see being one of the huge drivers for how Palantir is doing and kind of how they're going to do moving forward. Now, in regards to the earnings, I think Palantir has kind of a small beat on revenue and increases their free cash flow once again, which is kind of what they always do. And for those that don't understand their structure and how they report and kind of the intricacies of their balance sheet and income statement and all their financials, that is the number to watch the most based upon how they do their accounting is free cash flow. And once again, they have several new contracts that were announced last quarter. And last quarter, they discussed the big lag in government contract payouts, which honestly is normal because, it's the government. They don't ever pay anything on time. But if we don't see those contracts that we know are coming, basically kind of still hitting that bottom line, we know they're coming. They got to hit that bottom line. then it could be another rough quarter from the financial standpoint, which basically means they're going to miss. And once again, we had several large contracts renewed, which proves that the business model is sticky, and I think we all know that. And at this stage, it will be very hard for customers, especially the governments, to switch vendors over to somebody else. And honestly, don't even get me started on the commercial versus the government side of the business, or the stock-based comp, or any of those other arguments that everybody likes to discuss and argue about. You either understand what is going on and how it works, or you don't. That's the bottom line with that. But the key that I'm looking for this time around is the sales team performance and how they are actually coming around. Now, I know people freaked out last summer because the sales team didn't go from zero, non-existent. They had no sales team at all, nothing. I had to build everything from scratch. Basically, they didn't go from there to super stud sales team in under 3 months for one of the most complex products any sales team has ever had to try and sell. Yeah, that made a lot of sense freaking out about that. But now, 9 months later, I am expecting to see some measurable progress in their development. Not rock stars knocking it out of the park, but just some payoff starting to happen and positive commentary towards what they're doing. Bottom line, there is nothing coming in this earnings that will either prove the bears or the bulls right with this stock. However, I must say, Alex and the team over there are not trying to win the battle today, and honestly, they're not even concerned with any of the stuff that we're talking about. If you did your due diligence on this management team, you know that is not where their focus lies, so you cannot expect huge, incredible earnings calls if they are not gearing the business towards that in the first place. So what am I doing personally with Palantir stock and with this earnings call? Well, as most of you guys out there already know, I was busy buying the dip in the $6 range in November and December, despite all the noise during that time saying about, don't buy, the market's going lower. This indicator says it's the 8th fall day that starts with an S, so that means every stock that starts with a P, like Palantir, will fall 30% because the 269-day daily average moving crossed with the Gucci, Nietzsche, Fabrico, whatever line. And, that basically means the stock can't run. It's got to crash down further. We completely ignored all that noise, and absolutely the people in my group did as well, as the buy alerts were just going off like crazy during that time frame because the stock hit our price targets like many stocks did during that time frame. I wasn't listening to the noise, and neither were a lot of you guys, and great on you guys for not doing that. And we were not going to take advantage of a crazy opportunity right in front of us because it might go lower. But slow down. Let me be very clear and upfront with this fact. You cannot time the market. Nobody can time the market. I can't time the market. Nobody can time the market. And I'm still seeing takes and a lot of stuff out there like, sell, take your gains on this rally and go all cash. And then everyone making 37 different predictions on stocks, which I don't know how anybody can keep up with all that sort of stuff. But everybody making 37 different predictions every day about stocks is basically saying, sell this rally, take your cash because it's got to go lower. And they've been saying that for like 3 or 4 weeks now. So, where's the market been over the past 3 or 4 weeks? Sure glad I didn't sell and go all cash during that time frame. And even if you did sell today and then it goes lower tomorrow, that does not mean it was a good move unless you bought that next move lower down. At which, if you did that, it probably still went lower than that in the short term, and you're still losing, except now you incurred a tax bill if you sold for a gain, and you are essentially now a long-term investor trying to day trade, and that never works out over the long run. If you're a long-term investor, what happens tomorrow is not really your concern since nobody knows what will happen with any degree of accuracy. So, kind of what's the point in making any short-term price predictions? I mean, if Warren Buffett, Peter Lynch, and all the greats say they can't do it, why would I bother with it either? And that's why I try not to do that. I just buy based upon my plan and valuation. So to me, that means if you are worried about what Palantir will do tomorrow, or finding the bottom, or guessing stock price movements based on what the Fed says, or buying and selling based upon recession indicators or anything else like that, then you are simply short-term speculating or trying to time the market. And you can phrase it however you want, but that is what you are doing, and nobody can do it over the long run with any accuracy. But on the flip side, that's exactly why having your plan set before earnings is key. And I know you guys hate that I say it all the time, but planning and having price targets is key to investing and keeping all those short games out and just basically executing to your plan over the long run. I'm not playing Wall Street games. I can't beat them at their own games. They got too many crazy games that make absolutely no sense to any normal human being. However, I can take advantage of that chaos that they create if they play those games because I'm playing the long game and staying away from all the short-term speculation. So with this earnings, I'm simply sitting back, watching the numbers, and then I'm watching to see what Wall Street does. If the earnings are good, but people freak out because Alex tapped the table 4 times in 5 seconds and then cut off this one analyst, and then he flipped his crazy hair 7 times, that means Palantir is doomed and a terrible company, then guess what I'm going to do? If they decide to beat it down for that, I'm going to be right there buying that stock because I'm ready to go with my price targets and with my cash to buy. Wall Street wants to give me Palantir at $6 again, I will happily take it. And if Wall Street gets really dumb and sends it down to $5 range, I will add again. And yes, I will still add if that is all the cash that I had because I don't care about the price next month or even next year. I'm looking out 3 to 5 years and I personally will be quite happy with my shares bought now, even if it went lower in the short term, because I'm never going to time the bottom anyway, so I know it's going to go lower. Holding and looking to add at your price target when short-term issues arise, like an earnings call that is great, but the stock kind of sells off anyways, is the perfect time that I personally like to add, so make sure you have your price targets ready so you can execute if they hit your price targets. And seriously guys, if you want to cut through all the noise, all the chaos, and be able to hear commentary from myself, videos from myself, talk with our members of our group, we have tons of 6 and 7 figure investors in there that are absolutely helping people daily with incredible discussions about a ton of stocks, especially during this earnings season since the narratives have been all over the map. Make sure you take advantage of that Valentine's Day sale. It's less than $1 a day to get in on the group and at least see what we offer. And click this video here if you want to see the 10 most stocks in the stock market this year. And click here if you want to see exactly what I'm doing in this market. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.